And hello to everybody. Thank you so much for being here on this wonderful spring day. So I will be sharing my screen here in just a second, but I just want to welcome you on. If you haven't had a chance, feel free to share your name, your location, and something that's bringing you joy this afternoon. I saw so many beautiful things like the roses blooming and flowers, hope, being able to see friends again, beautiful weather, birds nest outside the window, and dancing to the music. So I'm so glad that you are all here and enjoying that joy this afternoon. So let me share this. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, so we are talking today about how to organize your home so it sparks joy. And like I said, please write your name, your location, something bringing you joy in the chat. So what we're going to do today is we are going to do introductions. You will learn about the KonMari method of tidying up if you don't already know it and what makes it unique. And learn a little bit about how to organize your home using the KonMari method. Obviously, there's so much we could go into, but we'll just do a little high level so that way you get a little bit more information for those of you who are interested. You'll have a chance to ask some questions, and then you'll have a chance to actually dream up your ideal life, which this is the number one first thing to do when KonMariing. It's not actually take everything out and put it on your bed, although that might be a close second, but it's actually creating a vision of what you want in your life, because what's the point of organizing and tidying if we don't know what we're doing it for? We need to really create that vision of what we want in our home, in our life, in our work. So you'll get a chance to do that a little bit today. And then share takeaways. And then I have some fun action steps at the end, including a drawing for a free session, a free power hour, and a coupon for a super fun organizing party that I do once a month. And the next one's coming up on Saturday. So I will share that with you. So be sure to stick around till the end so you got the information on how to join that if you're interested. Okay, so about me. I am a certified KonMari consultant, which means that I have been trained in Marie Kondo's life-changing magic of tidying up. Marie Kondo wrote that book in 2014. It sold over 11 million copies, so you may know that. And then there's a team of consultants that now have been trained in her method. There's only about 500 or so of us across the world in 50 different countries. So it's a pretty awesome experience, and I'll be sharing more about that today. I started my business in 2019. My business is the Joy Filter, applying a filter of joy to all of the things that we decide. And I started it to help people let go of what is no longer serving them and choose joy instead. This is about organizing, but it's about so much more than organizing. So you'll learn more about that in a minute. Before that, I had a successful business planning events for nonprofit organizations, events that make a difference, which is what led me to organizing, is trying to organize the back end of my business, all the things we have to manage as humans and entrepreneurs. So that led me to KonMari. And both businesses, I found my way to through following my joy and intuition. But I have to say it was a lot easier the second time around because I had been so practiced in following KonMari method and listening to my body and what sparks joy. And I learned to follow it. So I followed it down this path to becoming a KonMari consultant. And here we are today. Some things that bring me joy are being in the mountains, nature, and dancing. I'm super excited to go on a little road trip next week and be able to have some time in nature. It's been a long year for so many, and I'm excited to be able to do that safely. So, okay. So what about you? Please share in the chat. I'm gonna check the chat for any updates. So we have folks from Berkeley, from Albany, from Oakland, awesome. From Seattle, cool. That's where my brothers live. Colorful plant in window. I love that. So feel free to keep writing those in the chat as we go. Okay. So what is the KonMari method? So the KonMari method was created by Japanese organizer Marie Kondo. And she wrote, as I said, the #1 best-selling, life-changing Magic of Tidying Up, which has sold over 1 million copies and been translated to numerous languages worldwide. She also has some fun other books. There's a kid's book called Kiki and Jack's The Life-Changing Magic of Friendship. Kelsey and I were talking about this when we met earlier this week, and she reminded me that there's also a manga. So if you're interested in that, check out, there's a lot of great resources. Maybe you could post those in the chat, Kelsey, if you get a chance. And she also produced Tidying Up with Marie Kondo on Netflix 2 years ago, which was a big hit. If you haven't seen it, it's super fun. It's a really great way to kind of get motivated and see how the KonMari method can apply to lots of different families, lots of different situations. It's not the same as traditional organizing. It's definitely more spiritual and transformational. And Marie Kondo actually has a Shinto background, and she spent years working in a Shinto shrine, and she brings that with her. And so part of that in her philosophy is that all items have a soul and a purpose, which can really change our perspective on letting go, of asking, is the item actually serving its purpose? Maybe its purpose has already been served, or maybe its purpose can be served with somebody else. So it changes the way that we think about items and tidying. Okay. Thank you, Kelsey. Okay, so what's unique about the KonMari method? A few things. One is that we choose what to keep, not what to get rid of. This is pretty different. So instead of going into your closet and looking like, what can I get rid of? You're taking everything out. And then you're just choosing the things that you want to keep in your life to put back. And if you've ever moved or taken off for a vacation, you can kind of liken it to that, of like, what if you're packing for a vacation or a move or a next step? What would you want to take with you? And that makes making the decisions way easier. Instead of, can I use this someday? Or maybe I want it. It's like, no, I want this, I want this, I want that. And it's a lot clearer. The next thing is that we tidy by category and not by location, which means that we touch every item we own. Yes, every item. It can feel very overwhelming, but it's actually what makes a huge sustainable difference, because then you are really doing an accounting of your life, of your items, of your choices. And that can definitely be scary, but it's also a way to really come to terms with what are the things that bring us joy right now? What are the stages of life we want to let go of? Where are we currently? How much do we actually own? And so it's definitely much more sustainable. In that case, Marie Kondo's, her theory is that really you only have to go through the method one time in your life. And because it will make such a huge shift, you will never have to do a huge tidying festival again. Yes, there's ongoing maintenance. Yes, you might move, your life might change. Definitely, you need to sometimes do little touch-ups here and there. But the big festival, you do it once because you're doing it this intensively. We discard things first and then we store things. I know it can be really tempting to be like, I'm going to go out to the container store. I got a bunch of cute organizers, and organizers can definitely help. But the idea is that make the decision first of whether you want to keep things before you spend the time, effort, and money to organize it and put it in pretty boxes. Like, if there's no reason to access it, if you don't want it, then it's going to just be more things to maintain. So if you really downsize and discard first, and then you'll see what you have left, and then you can get organizers that fit exactly what you need. We make all decisions based on what brings us joy. So we really like hold up an item and see, like, how does this item feel? So for me, this water bottle, I love the color. I bought it at Pete's, which I like. I actually lost it. I left it in my kayak case for like a year. And I was really sad that I missed it. And then I found it a year later and I'm like, oh my gosh, my water bottle. And it brought me joy. So like, you can tell the energy in something that you like versus holding up a paper or an item that you're like, oh, I really feel like I should keep this, but I don't know, I spent all this money on it. It's a big energy difference. And so just pay attention to your own energy. It's really easy to see in somebody else, like how their energy changes when something sparks joy or not. And we're the ones that make the decisions. Nobody else can make decisions for you. We really can only tidy our own items because we're the only one that knows what sparks joy in our lives. And it goes for other people too. If you have a partner, if you have kids, it's really allowing them to make those decisions for what sparks joy for them, and you make decisions for what sparks joy for you. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to answer this question, Davey. Great question. Is there a good way to do this when not everyone in your household is participating? Yes. So KonMari is a really individual process. And that means, yeah, tidy your own items only. You can start on your own. And if you start in this category order, which we'll talk about in a second, you will start with your own clothing. And so the only person that needs to make decisions on your clothing is you. Then you'll start with your books, and then you'll do your papers. And then as we get into miscellaneous, there's some overlap of categories, but usually I find with families and partners that they usually have a sense of like, this is my domain, this is their domain. And so do your own domain and don't try to convince anyone to do theirs. And it will make a big difference. I know it's hard to let go, but actually that's the best way you can take action and make forward movement, because when we try to influence others, we get frustrated because we can't change others. We can't. And they get frustrated because, or resentful because we're trying to change them. But if you take action yourself, you can actually take action on the things that you can change that they don't have anything to do with. And maybe they might become inspired to want to do it themselves. Or maybe it won't matter because you have now taken action on the things that are really important to you. And it won't bother you as much. I've seen this happen. It's a magic. I know it seems like it's too good to be true, but it happens. So I would say just start on your own stuff. And that's the best way to move forward. You can also, if multiple people want to do it together, let me not say together. If multiple people in the same household want to KonMari simultaneously, they can. It's not really together because again, you're touching your own stuff. The only together things might be the overlap shared items, but that kind of comes down later. And by then you've gotten more used to the flow of KonMariing. But yeah, if multiple people want to do it simultaneously, that's great because there'll be a lot of progress in the house. But by all means, you don't have to wait for anyone else to say yes in order for you to start your tidying, which is great because it allows us to take authority on the things that we can. Okay. We treat all items with respect, keeping with confidence those that spark joy for us. It doesn't matter what anyone else says, we keep them with confidence. Same thing for allowing others to keep with confidence the things that spark joy for them. And we thank the things that we let go of. And this is, again, really paying respect to items, thanking them for the purpose that they've served in our life. And maybe that purpose was like, we had great clothes when we were going out dancing in our 20s or something. And now, those clothes don't make sense anymore having a family. And so you can thank them. Like, you don't have to say, oh, I hate you. You can be like, thank you for all the good times. Like, those were some great times. And I want to thank you and pass you along to someone else so they can have good times. That can be applied to any situation. That's just one example. And maybe it can be a thank you of something that's like, that you really don't like, something that taught you something, a lesson, or taught you that you don't need that or that you don't like that thing. And that's okay too. Like, you can still thank something for a lesson. Okay, that was a great question. Okay, so how do you actually KonMari? These are 5 steps. And the first one is you commit yourself to tidying up. I used to skip over this step a lot. I myself can be a little bit of a commitment phobe. But I've noticed with KonMari, when clients make a commitment versus if they don't. If they make a commitment, they're like, I'm in this. I am doing this till the end. Or even I'm not doing it till the end. Maybe I'm committing 3 months, or I'm committing 5 sessions, or I'm committing to come to your organizing party once a month. Whatever it is, you decide the commitment. A commitment makes a huge difference because it really is a festival. Like, she calls it a tidying festival. And you go through the categories in order from clothes to books to papers to miscellaneous to sentimental. So there's a beginning and there's an end. You will reach the end. That's the good thing, is that because you're touching every item that you own and you're doing it in a systematic way, there is an end. So when you make that commitment to be like, I'm in this until the end, or even I'm in this until the end of clothing, whatever it is that you want to commit to, you'll shift things around so that way your schedule allows for it. We all don't have, there's so many things that we have. And maybe you're not making a commitment to KonMari, maybe you're making a commitment to do something else, but whatever it is, if we want to make a commitment, we need to allow the space for it in our schedules. So you might need to KonMari your calendar after you make that commitment if you realize that it's important to you. So that's one. Number two is creating an ideal life vision. This is something that I help with my clients. And actually, I just added a fun free gift in my Facebook group. So if you join the group, you will be able to get that as well. That has some questions to walk you through creating your ideal life vision and making a commitment, because that will help you to kind of envision. And we'll do a little bit of that today too. We talked about going through the categories in order. Next is gathering all items from one category to the same place. So yes, do you really have to do that? Yes, you should really do it. There's ways around. For example, clothing. Ideally, you do take all the clothes that you have from the entire house and you put them on the bed. Some clients I work with, they don't fit on the bed. There's stacks, So if that's not feasible for you, take out one category, a subcategory, like all the jeans, all the tops. But it is really important to do it by category and take all of those items out, because then we actually see what we have. Often we think, I don't know, I might need to keep this black sweater. I don't know if I have a black sweater. And then you're like, oh wait, I do have a black sweater and I wear this one all the time and I like it more. So you can cross compare, you can account for what you really have. You can see, oh, this sparks a lot of joy. I love this. I'm not sure how I feel about that. So you can kind of like gauge the difference. And so this is a really important part of the process. Don't skip it. It's scary, but you could do it. And that's why I do, again, these organizing parties I'll share more about, because it's a way to motivate ourselves and to keep ourselves accountable to actually do it. But it makes a huge, huge impact. And the advantage of this is that once you've gone through everything, you've let go of tons of things. Often you put the things back that you love and you only have the things you love. It changes you. It changes your behavior. And all of a sudden, people want to clean that up and maintain it because they love how it looks. So the idea is like, yes, it is dramatic and it's drastic. But because there's such a drastic change, it makes a change in you. And that's what doesn't happen when we just pull out an item or here or two. Like, it doesn't make a big enough difference for us to change our behavior. Okay. And the last thing is keep what sparks joy and let go of what doesn't. And that's basically the only rule. So that's the only things about KonMari. So let me check the questions. So many good questions. And let me see if I have any other slides here. Okay, slide is questions. Perfect. So let me look at some of these questions, and then we will do a little bit of visioning. So what are tips for staying motivated to complete all categories? I got through my clothes years ago and sort of stopped. I think of it all from time to time, but I haven't gotten back to the start, so to speak. This is a great question. It's funny. I was just talking with another KonMari consultant the other day about how a lot of people did their clothes like on their own after watching the Netflix show. And I'm curious to hear what motivated you to do the clothes. Was it reading the book? Was it watching the Netflix show? Was it something else? So a lot of people did do clothes and stopped there. So I think that there's a variety of reasons for that. But I think the biggest one is that there's so many things that happen in life, and it's easy to get distracted, or not even distracted, like just to do the day-to-day things of life. Like we have work, we have family, we have all the things that we're balancing. It's a lot, and the regular household things. In addition to doing the KonMari categories, like it's a lot to add. So you have to have a really big why. So that's the first thing I would say is like, what's your why? And for folks who are putting questions in the chat, try to move them into the Q&A so I can see them there. It'll be easier to make sure that they get answered. So what's your why? That's what the first thing I would ask, and really clarify that and hone it in. And then possibly give yourself a timetable. Marie Kondo believes that it should be a tidying festival that you do, like you have a beginning and an end and a certain amount of months. In Japan, people have much smaller places. So yeah, maybe they can do something in a week, weeks or months. In the US, it might be a year. It might be like a longer amount of time. I've had clients do maybe 4 months is the minimum. But yeah, you have to have something that keeps you working at it. I think the other thing that can be really helpful is getting accountability. So that might be hiring a consultant, that might be finding an accountability buddy or a friend who also wants to do it. Maybe that means joining my Facebook group or another Facebook group and saying like, hey, I'm doing this. It might mean coming to an organizing party and saying like, I'm going to check this out and, spend 2 hours of tidying right now. So I think about your why, think about how if it's integrated into your schedule, like make your commitment. What's your commitment for the rest of the spring? Like 2 months. Is it important for you to continue? Maybe it's not, and that's okay. And if it is, maybe your commitment is finish books, something that will like get you going again. Hopefully that helps. Okay. How can a person get rid of papers that they need to save but do not enjoy? That's a great question. I would say question the first thing Marie Kondo will say, because her basic rule of organizing papers is to throw them all away. So that's obviously not always possible, but I would first ask if you like double check that you actually need to save it. Sometimes we think we need to save things, but we actually don't. So you might want to check with a tax professional for taxes or accounting items, or a lawyer if it's related to legal items, or, you know, a landlord if it's house day, whatever the types of things you want to check with an expert in that area, and check with yourself and see if that's something that you can find, like bank statements. Can you easily find them online? Maybe you can, so potentially you don't need them. You also could consider digitizing things. If you're like, I need to keep these, but they can be digitized, or you might just organize them and say like, you know what, I have my taxes, like myself, I have my taxes. I put them in joy sparking folders that I like, and it's in a file box that's teal, which I like, because we saw the teal water bottle, and that's fine. So it's put away, it's organized. I don't have to think about it. So there's ways to kind of see if it's actually something you need, organize it so it does spark more joy, or digitize it. Oh, thank you for who asked, what does the word KonMari mean? Why is the process called the word? So Marie Kondo made the process after her own name, Marie Kondo, and she took the first part, Kon, from her last name, and Marie from her first name, and switched it and calls it the KonMari method. So it's really literally like she made it from her name. Okay. Oh, you read the book. Awesome. Yeah, I think the book is a great motivator. Try the Netflix show also as a way to motivate, or join the Facebook group and just, you know, try to put yourself around others who are also valuing moving forward with their KonMari journeys. Okay. When you do clothes, do you also do shoes, hats, purses, and jewelry? In the clothes category is shoes, hats, and purses, not jewelry. That's a great question. So clothes includes clothes, shoes, hats, purses, belts. Scarves too, but not jewelry. Okay. Medical records, letter from Social Security, etc. don't spark joy. What to do? Marie Kondo would say that goes in a long-term reference. Again, sort it, put it in a folder, and put it away in a way that you don't have to, it doesn't have to take up that much space, but it's in a folder, you know, it's there, like you'll keep it for how long you need to. I had a client that actually had a lot of papers from a divorce proceeding that she was in, and legal papers, and she hated them. They were like very negative energy, but she had to keep them. And so a trick we did for her was like, put them away in a box, completely covered in a black box. And she's like, okay, they're here. If I need them, they're here. So there's little ways you can do that if you need to keep it. Okay, my kids are in their 20s. Can I go through their clothes, old bookcases, desks, etc.? This is such a good question. Okay, so I'm in my 30s. I literally just in my KonMari process a few years ago, got my stuff from my dad's house. And he would have kept it forever. Like, it's very nice of him. But Marie Kondo actually says in one of her books, like, your parents' home is not a place, it's not a storage unit. So at some point, you know, you can ask your kids to take their stuff out, and because it's their stuff. And if they decide, I don't want anything, I don't want to look at it, then I guess it does become your stuff at that point, if they've decided they don't want it, and then you can make the decisions on it. But at this point, I would say it's still their decision unless they decide it's not. And that also makes it easier for you. So then you don't have to go through all those decisions. Ideally, have them take it, or have them come through and go through it, or tell them you're going to be donating it at this point if they don't. I mean, those are like more stern, but at some point you can decide. And maybe they don't have space. Maybe they really want to keep it there because they're in college, they don't have space for their things. Then maybe on the next time that they come back, you can have them go through it and just make sure that they still want you to store it. Maybe it goes in the garage. But KonMari is really big on ownership. Whose decision is this? So identify whose decision it is. And I would say it is the owner's decision unless they explicitly give permission otherwise. And that it's their responsibility, though, to take action on that. Is it okay to move things from one category to sentimental? Is, i.e., a necklace to sentimental from clothes? Or is that just avoidance? This is, so many good questions. That is exactly what you should do. Yes, sometimes I like to say that things might kind of disguise themselves. So maybe this necklace is disguising itself as a clothing item or a jewelry item, but actually it's a sentimental item. This happened with clients, with a special robe that was their mom's, or with clothes that were their sisters who passed. Like all of these things, they're not really clothes and things that you're wearing. Maybe you're wearing them, or maybe you're keeping them and they look like they're clothes, but they're actually sentimental. So it's not avoidance, it's actually the right category. So recategorize anything that feels really sensitive, charged. It's probably a sentimental item. And the idea of KonMari is that we go from beginning to end. We will go from what's easiest to what's hardest. I will take the screen share off for a second so that way you all can see me. Okay, so we go from what's easiest to what's hardest, and clothing is easier. Sentimental things are harder, and so they should be put towards the end. So that's a very great question. What about the house category, decor, kitchen, for example, or pictures? Treat like clothes and pull out subcategories, say plates and bakeware. Okay, yes, great question. All of those things fall under kimono, which is miscellaneous, and miscellaneous has tons of subcategories. So yes, create a subcategory for them. In kitchen, for example, there's 3 subcategories. One is food, one is things you cook with, and one is things that you eat with. And you can further subcategorize this if you want, but I think that those are broad enough to just like take everything out from that category and go through it. And for the people who I work with, like my private clients, for example, we'll actually make a list of all the kimono subcategories and we'll tailor it for them, because sometimes we have different subcategories. I had a client who had a bubble wand subcategory because she has 2 and 4-year-old girls. Or now we have masks subcategories, which is a subcategory, none of us thought that we would have had like a year or 2 ago. So yes, make subcategories and go through them is definitely good. And I would start though later kimono after you go through clothes, books, and papers. Garage. Okay, I'm going to come back to that one. That's a good question. I have a vacuum cleaner that does not spark joy, but it works great. I don't want to get rid of it because then I have another project to buy a vacuum. And I don't want to do that because mine still works and it seems wasteful to get rid of. How can you keep from creating additional projects for yourself while doing this? Oh, this is a fantastic question. Yes, a lot of projects come up while you're KonMariing. In this case, I would say you can keep it with confidence. Marie Kondo actually got rid of a hammer one time because she's like, it doesn't spark joy. And then she had to hang her photos and she hung them with her ruler that did spark joy and it broke. And so now she realized, then afterwards she realized, okay, a hammer, maybe I don't love the look of it, but it sparks joy because it allows me to hang my photos in my house. And the same can be true for you. It sparks joy because it allows you to clean your house. And maybe in the future, if it dies, you'll get a new vacuum, or you'll decide to get a new vacuum if you want later. But for now, you can keep it with confidence and say, hey, it's good for now. Like I'd like to get a new bed at some point, but I don't want to get rid of my current bed because I'd like to sleep in a bed until that time. So you can decide to keep something with confidence, and it might be forever or it might be just for now, and that's fine. Chava, you love the rainbow books behind me, or Chava, until you can tell me which way I pronounce it. But yeah, this rainbow books here was my KonMari consultants doing when I worked with a consultant several years ago. And it wasn't something I would have thought to do myself, but I actually love it. I have I'm a pretty small collection of books. Books wasn't a big category for me when I went through my own process, because we had to go through this process ourselves to become a consultant. So I know your pain. It's hard. There's some categories that are really hard, and some are harder for some than others. Like for me, clothes wasn't too bad. Books was pretty easy, but papers was a big one. So everybody has their difficult categories. Okay, so I'm going back to the garage question. So Dina, how do you tackle garage? So what's in the garage is the first question I would say, because in the KonMari method, we do categories, not locations. So what categories are there? I would first take a look out there and say, what categories are here? Some categories that people find in garages are camping equipment or sports equipment or car, gear, tools, things like that. So kind of subcategorize them. Those are all in the kimono category, which is later down the line. So I would still wait and do something easier first. But if that's the thing that you want to work on, you can try. It will just, if garages are a little trickier for 3 reasons. Number 1, it's a bunch of kimono, which again is later down the line, so it's a little harder. Number 2, it's shared often. So the question of ownership. So again, when you go through and look, just do an assessment. What's here? What are the categories that are here? And who's the owner of them? And you may be the owner of some, and you may not be the owner of some. There might be other categories that somebody else is the owner of. Or more likely, it could be like, who's the owner of these things? We don't even know. So finding the decision maker or the owner is really key in KonMari. So those 2 things will help. Assess what's there, the categories, and assess who's the owner. The next thing I would say about garages is garages in California. This also, like basements out east, they can become purgatories for things that we don't want to keep, but we don't want to let go of. So consider that might be the case. Are there things in your garage that are just like discards? You've already decided you don't want them. You don't want them enough to be in the house. Like potentially there might be things that are there. And I'd love to hear if this is the situation for you. But so think about that. And if there are things that are discards, just discard them. I will work with clients in person and I will literally bring all the things they've already decided on during our session to their car. And that way they're in their car and they will go immediately after the session if they can, or soon, to discard them. So yeah, I would be curious to hear what you think is the main tricky issue with garage. But those 3 things that I brought up are all reasons why garages can be tricky. Okay, so Kelsey, if there's any other questions that got in from the chat, if you wouldn't mind putting them in the Q&A, but I'm gonna move along for the visioning exercise in the meantime.
I was just gonna note that there is a comment in the chat from Kuro.
Okay.
Actually, she didn't switch the names. In Japanese, the surname Kondo comes first.
Kuro, thank you so much. And my apologies for giving inaccurate information. So thank you. Thank you for educating me. Okay, so there's KonMari method. The surname comes first. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think that sounds like all the questions. These were awesome questions. So I want to move on to the visioning piece so you all get a chance to actually make your vision. Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay, so if you are able, if you're not driving, if you're able to close your eyes, if you are not able or not comfortable, you can maybe look outside at some nature, take a deep breath. You're going to do just a couple of minutes meditation to create your ideal life vision. So take a couple of deep breaths. We run in and out of our homes, of our lives. We go from thing to thing, and we don't often take the chance to think about our home and appreciate it. We might see the things that we want to change, the projects that we feel like we should be doing, but what is it that you want to appreciate about your home today? Maybe it's the nature you can see outside or the windows. Maybe it's the light. Maybe it's some plants you have or pets that bring you so much joy. Or what if it's a place that you play with your kids or can relax and watch movies? For me, I want to appreciate that my home has given me so much stability in a crazy time of this last year plus. And throughout all the changes, I feel so fortunate to have the stability of this home that's held me throughout it. So, what do you want to appreciate about your home today? And now think about if you could wave a magic wand, anything were possible, and you could wave a magic wand, what would your home look like? And what would it feel like? Just take a look around in your mind's eye. What would your home look like? Anything were possible. Where is your home? Is it your current home? Is it somewhere else? How do you feel in the home? What people are there? People, pets? What activities are happening there? And if anything were possible, and you could wave a magic wand, what would your ideal life be like? What would your lifestyle be like? What would it be like in the morning when you first get up? Later in the morning? In the afternoon? The evening? What is it like during the week? And what is it like during the weekend? What are your summers like? What are your winters like? What about fall and spring? So just think, if you could wave that magic wand, what would you feel like in your ideal life? Is work involved? If so, when would you work and when would you not be working? Where would you be working? Maybe other activities are involved. What are the other activities that you see yourself doing in your ideal life? I'll take another couple deep breaths. Listen to the sounds that are around. You can hear a wind chime. Maybe it's sounds of kids. Maybe it's activity in the street. Just take a moment to appreciate yourself for showing up today, for making the commitment to attend and coming today to get some inspiration to change your home to be closer to your ideal life vision. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and just take a couple minutes to journal, you can do that in a journal or on your computer. Anything that came up from the meditation, things that you want to remember, things you appreciate about your home and things that you appreciate from your vision. So we'll just give you a couple minutes to do that right now. Okay, so I would love to hear some shares, and feel free to keep journaling if you would like along the way, but I'd love to hear some shares in the chat of what came up for you. So I'd love to hear either something from your vision that you want to remember and take with you today, or an appreciation of your home, or both. So I would love to see those in the chat. Okay, so Karen said that she is very glad to be with friends again. Yeah, that's a beautiful appreciation. Home is close to friends. I'm appreciating right now. I can see a hummingbird that's coming around to my succulent flower. That's making me happy. That's my appreciation. Other appreciations and visions from your meditation. I appreciate my home is in a place where we don't need AC or heat. Lovely. Yeah, I think that it's really easy, negativity bias. Like it's very easy for us to focus on the things that we want to change and that need to be different. And those are true too. But can we hold both truths of like, yes, and there's so many things that I appreciate that are working for me, that I want to be grateful for, that I have in this tough time. Okay, so comfortable. This is a vision from Karen. Comfortable, easy, accessible, ordered, colorful, and comforting. Ordered, colorful, and comforting. I love that. Beautiful art and comfortable furniture. Yes. Appreciate the light. This is from S. Appreciate the light in my home, seeing a natural, open, inviting, and warm space, not cluttered, but personable. Yeah, I think the idea of like, I'm not big on the it's cool to see the Instagram pretty boxes, but I think it's more relevant of like, what do you want for your home? And sometimes that's not like a perfectly like pristine house. Sometimes it's like culture and color and music and whatever it is that you want, create that. That's what's more important. Okay, Dina said, home is where I can hear the laughter of my kids and provide them nourishment, both figuratively and literally. It is security. That is beautiful. Julie said, also good neighbors, big windows, high ceilings, wood floors. I love all the community and friends in this in this workshop. I love this. It's so Berkeley and I love it. And yeah, I used to live in North Berkeley, and like Kelsey said, I went to grad school there. So it's just holds a big place in my heart. Okay, my home and yard attracts birds and wildlife. Flowers and ferns have volunteered. Oh my gosh, I love that. They came and yeah, and are now volunteering to be there. That's beautiful. Okay, so I'd love if folks keep putting those in the chat, share your visions, share your appreciations, and think about what you might want to do with them after today. Do you want to write it somewhere? Do you want to collage it somewhere? Like maybe you just want to write it and like stick it up on your mirror or in your closet. That's actually a Marie Kondo approved thing. It's put something that if you're not sure if you want everyone to see it, but you want to remember it, it makes you happy, put that poster or that thing in your closet. So one other idea so that you don't forget, so that you're still motivated by your vision. Okay, so as you all post that, I'm going to carry forward with how I support folks on their tidying journeys, and also say that we may have a couple more minutes for questions at the end. So if there's more questions, feel free to add those in the Q&A.
And I just wanted to add that there are a few journal entries in the Q&A as well.
Oh, thank you. Okay, let me read this. Thank you for pointing that out.
Have Karen's.
Okay, so Karen said, need to create a space for doing art that's not my kitchen table. Yes, I had a client who it was really big for her. It was really important for her to be able to paint. And one time I came over and we were going to be tidying, and she said, oh, I should have, I feel like I should have cleaned up before you came. I have all my paint stuff, and it was on her dining room table. But I'm like, no, I'm really happy that you have your paint stuff out, because you talked to me about your vision and how it's so important for you to add art back into your life, and you weren't doing it. So to see it all out, working for you, like that's lovely. I'm excited about that. And what's a way to do it so that, yeah, you can still have your kitchen table. If you don't want to have to move it, you can create another space for it. So yeah, bringing those out, bring out the things that spark joy for you. So, okay, I love that vision, Karen, of creating a space for doing art that's not your kitchen table. Thank you, Kelsey, for telling me these. I appreciate that our home holds me and my family and keeps us safe. Yes. I appreciate that my living room, kitchen, and bathroom are bright colors, and bedroom has pastels. Beautiful. Resources page again. Yes. Okay. So I will move along to that. Thank you everyone for sharing these beautiful visions and appreciations. Okay. I'm assuming this was the resource page you're talking about. Carol, if it's not what you're talking about, let me know. So how I support folks on their tidying journeys. So these are different ways I work with people. I'm happy to chat with you if anyone's interested in learning more about them. I'm happy to chat offline about that, or ask me questions. Now I can answer those too. So I do in-person KonMari sessions across the Bay Area with masks on for COVID safety. I do virtual private KonMari coaching, where I help people really like move through the process. So for example, we talked about kimono, and you're like, where do I even start? We'll make a list, and I'll say, here's your assignment for the next 2 weeks. Work on these categories. So that way you don't have to feel so overwhelmed with the whole process. You have a couple of to-do actions, and then you bring any questions to me on Zoom. And so that way you don't get stuck. And people can reach out to me by text also. So that's really great for people that want like a virtual option. And then I do these monthly group organizing parties, and you are in for a treat if you make it to one. And there is one on Saturday. So I'm going to share how you can find out about that and get a free coupon to come on Saturday, as I would love to have you come this Saturday and see what they're like. They are 3 hours from 9 a.m. till 12 noon. Ideally come for all, but you can come for however little or much you can, and you'll still get something out of it. And so how they work is I will do a short intro. We're going to be talking about papers this week. Short intro, KonMari papers, and then we just dive in, because you can learn and learn and learn and learn. There's a KonMari consultant that would call it procrastinating. Like we can read and learn and educate ourselves about something, but at some time, if we want to do it, we got to take action. And so I love integrating action into all the events that I do. And so these organizing parties, you'll have 2 hours of tidying time, and you will be amazed at how much you can do in 2 hours when you focus on, okay, I'm going to work on this project. And you can work on whatever project you want. You can work on papers, which is what we're going to talk about. You can work on clothes. You can work on wherever you are in the journey, or you can work on like resetting things and just putting things back in their homes. Whatever it is that you're like, this keeps on not happening. I need to put it on my calendar and be accountable to somebody else so that I do it for me. That's why we do this. And it's mostly women, almost all women, usually all women, but it doesn't have to be. Anyone is welcome. But I say that because often as women, we can put ourselves last on the list. And so this is a way to kind of like bump that up of like, if this is important to you, put yourself back on the list and be accountable to others who are doing the same thing for them. And so it's really fun because we all do them. We all work on our projects on Zoom. So I'll share about that in a second, how you can sign up. And I also have a Facebook group, and I talked about, I have a worksheet for how to make your commitment and your vision. You already started thinking about that right now, but if you want to come onto my Facebook group, you can find it at thejoyfilter.me/community. And I can pop that in the chat as well to learn more about that and to join. That is free. It's called Joyful Organized Life. And yeah, okay. So here's the fun part, the other fun part for prizes. So if you are interested in, if you sign up for my email list, you'll get transformation and tidying tips. And I will enter you in a drawing to win a free power hour for the folks who attended today. And this is a $97 value. It's a 50-minute private KonMari coaching session with me on Zoom. So you can bring whatever questions you have, challenges, things you want to work through. We'll talk about your vision. We'll talk about your challenges and how KonMari can help support that. So these are really fun. And I'll be doing a drawing for that. So if you sign up for the email list today, you will get entered in that. It is going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to do the drawing and I'll put this in the chat. And the other thing is you'll also get a coupon to attend the next organizing party for free. So yeah, again, these are $97. You'll get a ton of value from them, but you can come to the first one for free with this coupon code. So if you sign up for the email list, I will send that to you. That way you can join. If you can't come Saturday, still sign up and I'll give you the code. You can use it for the next one, which is June 12th. We do them every second Saturday. Just come check it out. If you're on the fence, like you're not sure, come check it out, see what you think, and like see if you get something out of it. I find that people come shocked at how much they're able to get through, and they get motivated because you get unstuck and you keep going. So that's a really fun thing about those organizing parties. Okay, so I'd love to see if there's any questions. I want to say also thank you for being here today and for learning all that you did, for diving into KonMari. Again, my name is Jenna. My business is The Joy Filter. I'm a certified KonMari consultant. And these are the links for both the Facebook community and the sign up for the email list. So I'd love to open it up to questions. If you have questions on any of the services I provide, on the organizing party, or just KonMari questions in general. Let's see, we have, just a couple of minutes to answer. Okay, so is the coupon for the party a drawing or for anyone? Oh, thank you for asking that. The drawing is for the private session with me. The coupon is for everyone. So if you sign up, you will get the coupon for the organizing party. Yes, so coupon for everyone, and you'll also get entered in the drawing to win a private session. But I hope you'll make it on Saturday. It's definitely fun, and yeah, you'll see what it's like. So I hope that you sign up. Okay, other questions? Thank you. Karen says thank you. You're welcome. Any other questions on anything?
All right. Yes, we'll give it just a moment for questions. But Jenna, thank you so much for speaking today. The Berkeley Public Library is so happy to host you. And it's just been delightful to see the interest in this event and the questions and everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's so awesome being here with you all. Yes, Terry and Richard, you can definitely come. I actually have a couple that comes to the group organizing parties, and they work together like on their books. They're like, we're going to do books, I'll do mine, you do yours, but they both show up. So you can definitely do that. Yeah, and you can come to the party at a later date with a coupon. So yeah, if you sign up for the email list, you will get the website and the coupon, and you can go ahead and choose a date. It's this Saturday or the next one. So okay, Dina said, thank you so much. I'm starting to get inspired to get started. Yay! I love it, Dina. I would love to see your progress. Join the Facebook group so you can share your progress along the way. I'm really excited to see that. So, yeah.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. And everyone, best wishes with your own cleaning journey, especially as we are getting into spring. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelsey. Thank you, everyone. Have a great and joyful rest of your day.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.